Welcome back, everyone, to another Dragon Ball Legends video. My name is D-Free. Here today, we will be going over everything that you need to know about the Rising Battle for Broly, how to get this man up to 3 stars, which happens to be the maximum as of the recording of this video, and also soul boost him to 398%. I'm going to give you guys the best training locations, well, not training locations, but farming locations for his souls, and just tips on how to build teams for the Rising Battle, etc., etc. So if you guys enjoy this type of content, make sure you support it. Get us up to 1K likes if you wind up enjoying the video, of course, and if it's helpful. And if I forget anything in the comments, feel free to correct me. Right? If I forget anything, correct me in the comments is what I meant to say. I'm only human, but I'm going to try to give you guys everything. So let's go ahead and start off with the basics. We're going to go over the innate basics of what you need to see. So here's the Broly, right? He is a free-to-play unit. He is not a transformation unit or anything like that. There's still misconceptions. This is how he will always be. So if you want the Super Saiyan and full power Broly, you do need to summon. So these are the stats for this character. He is a very, very good character. I 100% recommend farming him up and getting him, going. You have a while to do this, though. Like, I rushed through it just to be able to do a video for you guys, but you have a while to do it. Mine is fully 398%. So let's go ahead and go back over to the events page as well. And the first thing that I will let you guys know is the best locations, courtesy of legends.dbz.space. There will be a link in the description for that if you want to see individual drop locations and drop rates for these items. But on EX4, right here, you have a 10% chance to drop the Super Soul, which is the orb-shaped one in the middle there. That happens to be the best drop chance for that item in this event. So there you go, okay? And on EX3, you have a 800% chance, which is, again, the best drop rate to get the Rising Soul, which is the spiky shape one for the people that don't know. So if you need to farm those specific souls to soul boost him, that is where you're going to go. EX3 for this one, and then EX4 for the orb-shaped one. So aside from that, while we're still here, I do want to talk about the Rising Battle, or excuse me, the Challenge Battle. So for this, you can only deploy one character, and it has to be a Broly. I believe you can still use Blue Broly, but I mean, type disadvantage. So anyways, you would want to use the Red Broly or the Purple Broly, and the team that I have at the bottom is the team that I used to complete it, because for one, you do have to complete it with a Red Broly at least for that top requirement there if you wanted to do that. And inflicting Rising Rush damage isn't too difficult. You just, do the Rising Rush with your character. But the team I did at the bottom is exactly the team I used to go ahead and complete this event. So really, I want to show you guys some details for why I chose the units I did. And this was pretty much a free-to-play friendly version of it. It can be a lot better. You can mix in other Brolys. Like if you have the new Broly at 5-star, the other one, the summonable one, put him on the team, of course, and make this Broly better. You can do other Saiyan supports, things of that nature. But again, this is a very free-to-play iteration of this team, so I try to stay away from some of the uber top tier units. And of course, if you don't have, again, those are just replacement options for if you don't have some of these units here. It can be a lot better, but this can get it done. So with this setup, Krillin is giving 23% currently to base blast defense. The Broly himself gives himself 22% to strike attack. The Goku there is giving strike defense plus 24%. That's the Spirit Bomb Goku, so he's free to play. He always has been. We have Shallot there boosting max HP, and we also have Android 17 and Vegeta. I point this out every single time I do a video about this, but the characters that do not enter the battle, which in this case would be all of the other 5 on the team, do still give their Z ability buffs to the active Broly, so that's why they're there. Otherwise, you just go in with Broly and it wouldn't matter, but it does matter who you put around him because they still buff him even though they're not there. So that is how you can get that done. It's a lot easier, though, if you use the purple Broly just in general, right? But you do need to at least clear it for that top requirement there with the red Broly. So this is the team I used. You should be able to get it done. If not, feel free to swap out some units, things of that nature. Of course, results will vary because my units are heavily limit broken. Not by design. I didn't want those guys to be limit broken. But anyways, that's pretty much it for this event. I'm not really going to go into specific farming for equipments. Just kind of do what's best for you, right? Anyways, now, when it comes to the Broly, in order to get him up to the maximum, again, of 3 stars, you do need to play Rising Battle. So when it comes to the Broly and just unlocking him in general, I should have went over this initially, but I believe it's here. First clear reward, you do get an unlock for Broly. 100 Z power is all you need to unlock Broly. He will have no stars, again, but you do limit break him 3 times right now, courtesy of the Rising Battle. So again, if you don't have Broly, make sure you get him done. So this event's interesting. You see there's, 20 battles. It only shows me every 5 because those are the main, boss battles. But other than that, you pretty much fight Broly. he stays in the same type for about 5 or so battles, and then he switches types. So this event is interesting because it gets difficult. You know, he gets up to 1800. That's pretty difficult, right? But the real thing about it is that there are requirements in here where it's like, hey, use only heroes, use only EXs, things of that nature, and it can get kind of tricky. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys team options for that, and feel free again to leave any recommendations down below, any strategies you guys have. And then we're going to actually pivot back over to the story because I forgot all about the Rising Rush teams that you need to get like the 2.5 million damage on like one of those last stages. I think EX4 of the Broly event. Anyways, moving on. So this event is 100% beatable by free-to-play players. I don't want to hear about anything being a whale. I have a lot of free-to-play friends that have beaten this event, and the other one, by the way, the story, all the way through. So it can be done. So you just have to maneuver a little bit. So he starts off being a red character. There are no sort of specific deploy conditions. This is very easy, very straightforward. If you have even 2, I'll say, 1 or 2 good blue units, you are fine. If you do not, then do not be cheap. Use your souls, use your Zenny, and soul boost and get you a couple of good blue units. That's why I said this event is going to be very taxing for the people that have not built up specific teams, because the best strategy a lot of the time will just be to use a flat out monocolor team, which is a team full of yellow units, a team full of red units, a team full of blue units, whatever the case is. And if you can't do that, at least 3 good units that you can deploy, then it just kind of gets a little bit tricky, right? So again, make sure that you do that. But that's really where this event gets kind of hard. Now this is the one where just in general, a lot of people are struggling because he says, hey, use only hero party members. So let me go ahead and give you guys my team that I used. So what I did here was I just used green characters and Shallot. Shallot pretty much solos this. And the reason being is because, for one, he's insanely good. You know, for a hero unit anyway. He can hold his own with some sparking sometimes. Also, he can transform, stats go up, etc. But the whole strategy with this type of team, and you can do it however you want. You can build whatever you want around him. I recommend sticking to green because they at least have elemental advantage, right? Which helps them defensively. But the other 2 characters, you let them go out there, you let them get you the Dragon Balls, and then, of course, if they go down, that's fine. But just make sure that Shallot launches the Rising Rush. And that's pretty much it. That's all you really need to know. So all the while, you're going to still do damage with the other characters and stuff like that. But if you aren't able to beat it with just heroes without the Rising Rush, of course, try to make sure that Shallot does launch the Rising Rush. And again, that will let you be successful. And another way to build this team up is there are a few heroes that do support Saiyan Tag or things of that nature that are not mono yellow elements. So if you want to do that as well, feel free to. The only real thing that I would say is that the Jocko was very helpful being level 1500. That's another thing too. I know it may suck to have a soul boosted to 1500 hero sometimes, but they help you out a lot. If you happen to be struggling here, don't, you know, avoid doing that. It'll just help you out. So anyways, moving on. Another requirement that we have is on 1700 difficulty, or level 1700, excuse me. You have to use EXs only. As you see, he is now purple. So that means yellow, right? So yellow is your best team. So here we go, EX. So I use this team specifically. The ones that I deployed were Android 16. I took out the Bardock, and I took out the Trunks. So this one's a little bit different. The other one, too, because you do have clear within counts. So it might take you a few runs. Feel free to run it back a couple of times. I myself had to run it a couple of times to get that clear within 45 counts because it just depends on how quickly you can launch the Rising Rush. But again, mono EX yellow teams will be able to get this done for you. And as far as replacements go, there's not really a whole lot of very solid yellow replacements, but I will show you that. I didn't think it was necessary to go over replacements for the blue team because, I mean, or like the green team because it's very straightforward, heroes only. But as you see, there are not a lot of yellow replacements. So what you can do, though, is kind of the same thing. If you plan to build around the Bardock and you don't have this exact team or things of this nature, the way I have it set up, you know, you can actually dip into Saiyan-centric support. For example, you can go over here to the blue, grab that blue blue base Goku at the very bottom, put him on the team. He's going to all of a sudden make Bardock very, very good. Things of that nature. You just kind of have to play around with the box a little bit. You can do things like this, like that. All of a sudden, Bardock is picking up a couple more buffs there. EXTN's a little bit of a wild card because I know a lot of people may not have him fully limit broken to 5 stars, so that's a little bit of a wild card. But again, you can dip into some other elements, pull some other units that'll be able to support you there. So for the last one, I think it was, I think there's a, I think you boost, yeah, it's Saiyan. So something like this still works, you know, something like this still works. But you don't have to have a full exact team. It's just when you have more units on the team, that means more buffs. More buffs means easier time. So if you can only, you know, put 4 units around the Bardock, then do that. You're fine. But Bardock right now is free to play. You can farm him up. Make sure you're doing that. Anyways, let's go ahead and get out of here. So for the final battle, there were no sort of deployment conditions. So he's also green here. So all that really means is come in with purple as a mono team, which I don't think I did, actually. I think I used this team, and I used the Broly and the Goku. But just come in with purple. I don't have a build set up for that one. It really doesn't too much matter. I can give you a brief rundown of purple units to see if there are any that you would want to obviously consider above others. Any that can be anti-Saiyan, for one, are going to be ones that you really want to consider using. Or, you know, actually, purple's a really interesting color, because all these units work equally good to me. Like, I don't think there's anything in particular you really need to focus on. One-hand Spirit Bomb Goku can come in super clutch here because of the fact that he gets really good when he's the last competitor there. So try that out as well. So ultimately, when you complete this event, you will be able to get your Broly to 3 stars. That's the whole reason we went over this. Now, in between, there's not only 5, 10, 15, 20. It only shows you the ones that you that you can re-challenge. You can't challenge back the other ones, unfortunately. But incrementally, every level that you complete, you do get souls for your Broly to get him up to 3 stars and all of that. So last thing I do want to cover is we do have the Broly, and we do have, I believe this stage was the one that had the requirement for, 2.5 million damage Rising Rush. Now, that's not particularly easy unless you know what you're doing. So there are a couple of team recommendations I do have for you guys. We're going to start off with my Yikes team. It gets the job done. So the whole premise of this team is to just let the other 2 characters go down, have the Fist Coup in the middle, the Goku there, basically beat the Broly by himself. So ultimately, you want to make sure that you have 2 Ultimate Arts cards because, Special Arts cards, because the Goku can draw another one. So that's pretty much the basic premise of this team. You do need to get the guy down a little bit, the Broly a little bit, so that's why you probably want to use another character like the Goten or whatever the case is. But Goku, again, he draws another one with his main ability, so you just want to make sure you have those 2, and he's going to come through and do a ton of damage to the Broly. Broly won't be able to live through that. So that's the basic premise of this team, and you can switch out any of these units you want with other, Saiyan tag supports or blue characters. Mono Blue is pretty much the best one, though, because you have full defensive coverage, things of that nature. So that's how that goes. Another team, this one wasn't even my idea, but I'm happy about it because it does feature Krillin, and this is courtesy of DBL Spider. So thank you, man. If you're listening, I appreciate it. So basic premise for this team is you want to use Dabura to kind of take those hits. He does have that green card that allows him to take reduced damage. Also, First Form Frieza, just like the Goku, does draw another arts card, so there's that. And he also has Anti-Saiyan, so he's going to do a ton of damage. Krillin is also very good for the heal if you need that. Also, if you need to do more damage, let your characters go down and let the Frieza be the last character out there, things of that nature. Also, Krillin, when you have Krillin out there and you switch into the Frieza, Krillin also applies, I believe, a 10% buff. So that's another thing to consider. So that's pretty much the general premise of the team. So 15% of damage inflicted for 10 counts. So just make sure you do it quickly when you switch from Krillin over to Frieza. So we went over literally everything. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Make sure you hit that subscribe if you were new. Again, 1K likes is our goal. And let me know if you guys have any tips that I missed or things like that. So have an awesome day, and I'll catch all of you in the next one. Take it easy, everybody.